You very often, as with the comic books and the show, see him doing this. What is he doing? He's using his telepathic abilities. Don't ask me what he's doing. I think he's calling for a pizza. I'm live. Anyway, so these right here, this right here is the Professor X mini bus from our friends at Diamond Select Toys. And let's crack her open with no further ado, right? What the heck? So, you guys might have seen me open a couple of these things before. And this is my first time opening it up, so you're going to get my reaction same time as you're seeing it. If you've seen me do any of this before, you get this certificate of authenticity. Sorry about the glare here, guys. You know how the ring light does me. And so this Professor X says, I've got number 47 of 3,000. What does that mean? It means that there's 3,000 pieces only. So go get yours. You can go directly from the website, diamondselecttoys.com. And I'm going to crack her open. Now, with any of the resin busts, I don't keep all of the boxes, but I do for the resin because they are so delicate. I've mentioned this once or twice before. It's only happened one time where I've opened up a package and it's come out like slightly less, slightly more broken than I wanted it to be. So I got my handy dandy little scalpel tool right here, and I am cracking her open right along the seam lines so we can get this box cracked. So it's the first time it's opening up, and woo, okay. And I moved it too far off, and it fell off this chair here. So, I'm not sure. I try to give a little bit of trivia along with. I'm going to move this out of the way. You guys don't need to see styrofoam. I'll pull this over here, put it down. Try to give a little bit of trivia alongside the opening and unboxing of any of these toys. Like I said, it's the first time I'm opening it, so let me show it to you guys. What do you think? This is the animated bus. So even though you want to compare it to the comic book, you shouldn't. First thing to note, just like all the resin busts with Diamond Select Toys, compare the base at the bottom to the certificate of authenticity, and you should note they should be exactly the same. So number 47 of 3,000 pieces. Typically at this point, I would tell you guys, let's do a full body spin, and I would turn this, and I will let this guy turn around. So let's just do that for a second. Again, I haven't done any of these lives before, so if I look and sound stupid, that's because I feel like I look and sound stupid while I'm doing this. So big up to me for even trying it. So this Professor X first reared his head, I think it was American comic books. Not Marvel. You guys think it might be Marvel, but it was American comic books back in 1963. If you don't know who Professor X is, he is the leader of the X-Men. Well, often he's depicted as the leader of the X-Men, but he's their mentor and their father figure and their patron. He has the X Mansion, which happens to be in New York City. Thank you very much. Big up to all my New York peoples. And that's where the X Mansion is. He is a telepath. He is the most powerful telepath on the planet. Can control people's minds just like that. So that's what you get from a Professor X. What are we looking for in the Professor X statue? Well, Professor X happens to be, I'm going to stop this spin now so you guys don't get dizzy alongside me. Professor X happens to be a paraplegic. So he cannot use his legs, but he sure can use his hands. And he's very often depicted in this really cool yellow floating hover chair. Now, obviously, they're not depicting the entirety of the chair, nor are they depicting his legs. With the rest of the X-Men mini bust that I've opened up, they're all on this sort of cool little this pedestal. I don't know exactly what to call it. This is very similar. You guys can maybe see that at the base down here. You see that? But there's no rhyme or reason to the actual shape that I have been able to figure out. So we're really not comparing this to X-Men Xavier from the comic books. What we're comparing this to is the animated Xavier X-Men. That's what this resin mini bust is. So let's not get it twisted. Unfortunately for you guys, you're going to get some glare on my glasses because I got the old man eyes. I can't help that. And that's the only way I can really take a look at this thing. And so we can, together, we can take a look at what this wants to be. So give me a second here. All right. First glance, they did a lot of very similar things that they typically do with these character sets, which they're using these really thick black lines to show definition in face, muscular structure, and or ripples in clothing. So you'll see that right away if you look at the face. So he's got these lines that are defining the cheekbones here. He's also got a line in the center of his chin, which is supposedly defining a cleft. He's got this here, which I lovingly refer to on myself as 11s, because they're in two lines, but they're showing him as only having the one line on the forehead there. So check that out. That's pretty cool. It is exactly portrait accurate for the X-Men animated series. That's what we're comparing it against. He's got a green suit on, a blue tie with black stripes, and a blue handkerchief with a white shirt underneath. Okay. It's heavy. It's really heavy. I want to say, I want to say that's over 5 pounds. But I don't have a weight here, a weight scale here to tell you exactly. Just know that it is heavier than you think it's going to be. Now, I have been trying recently here to open these up and make sure that you guys have a better depiction of the overall scale so that you know if you're putting them on your shelf, how much space you're going to need to accurately put. As you can see, I've got a lot of stuff on shelves back here, and that's only a small portion of the room that you can see. So I'm going to pull this out here, and it looks like you're going to need around 6 inches of clearance space, 6 to 7 inches on the backside width. On the length down here at the bottom, it looks like you have 6 inches, and on the height here, let's see what we get on height. It looks like 6 inches. So you got like basically a 6-inch invisible square you need to keep around him so that you have enough room to place him there without overcrowding the statue itself. What is he doing in this particular rendition of Charles Xavier? You very often, as with the comic books and the show, see him doing this. What is he doing? He's using his telepathic abilities. Don't ask me what he's doing. I think he's calling for a pizza. I'm not entirely sure. He's got this really look on his face. He's concerned over something. So this is a focused look. He's clearly either calling the X-Men, trying to find an X-Men, or controlling somebody's brain. But this is a typical, that's what I'm doing with this hand. There's not a whole lot to the statue, if I'm being completely honest with you. A good rendition of the face, good rendition of the hands. As with the face, the hands have all these dark lines on them to illustrate the location of knuckles and the expansion of fingers, and inside the hand where the palm crease is. Okay, that's great. Let's take a look at what he's sitting on. Really great paint job. Like I said, this is often depicted as a yellow, hovering super wheelchair. If I had to say something like right off the jump that I'm not a huge fan of, if I'm looking at it from this vantage point right here, you can see that the yellow just stops right at the torso line, right at his torso line. I would love to be able to see a little more depth in there. Like they didn't have to cut the yellow off right here. Maybe a little bit more leg to show that the depth of his legs continue down, even though he doesn't use them. Because this isn't the entirety of the wheelchair. It should go a little further to the front and a little lower down to show all the elements of it. It's got these little cool sort of red lights on the outside here, symbolizing power, I would assuming. This wheelchair is on. I don't know. It never does talk, so that's just me saying the wheelchair is on. It's got some vents. It looks like these are supposed to be vents here on the back side of the wheelchair, which I thought, pretty cool. But other than that, they gave it the paint job is nice, and they gave it some highlights. That's what you can see here. These sort of beige-ish color lines that indicate for us that this has a bow, like this is not a straight front end, but this is right here, going over the top, so that you can see there's sort of a reflection end to it. I will note that in this particular one anyway, the lines, the black lines, didn't go straight back clear. They're not, there's a little bit of jaggedness to the paint job back here. I'm not sure you guys can tell from that angle. It's not a big deal. It really isn't a big deal. Yeah. And then it's just got the blue blacking on the back of his chair, which is back here, which kind of matches the same color as the handkerchief and inside the tie. So maybe they did that because they were saving paint and they all wanted the same blue hue. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was the case. But other than it having legs I would like to see a little bit further down, it's a pretty perfect rendition of the animated version of the Professor X from the X-Men animated series, and you can take that for X-Men 97 and or the original X-Men from 1997. Okay? If there's anything else I would have liked to see through here, or I would still like to see, I don't have the Magneto bust, which when I do get the Magneto bust, I'm going to put them side by side, and then we can have a more special conversation, because as most of us already know, Professor X's nemesis / best friend is Magneto. So Eric Lenscher. And we don't have him here for us to take a look at together. But as soon as it comes, we'll put them together and we'll run another review. Do I think this is worth purchasing? Let's take a look at what our friends at Diamond Select Toys are saying about the cost. Professor X. Let's see here. The animated series mini bust Professor X is going for $120. So, first off, you gotta love the X-Men. If you started collecting the X-Men, and anybody who's watched my channel or any of the other reviews knows I've got the Beast, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Phoenix, and Wolverine. The Wolverine I have is not specifically X-Men animated, but I have them within the X-Men line. The point being, if you're gonna have any of the X-Men, you gotta have all of the X-Men. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't care if you tell me I'm wrong. You need to have all the X-Men. So, if you're getting them, I would strongly suggest him being sort of the centerpiece in that model, because again, he is the leader of the X-Men. At $120, is it worth it? Woo! Oh man, I'm a buyer at like maybe 80. I don't know, 120 does seem a bit high. The Phoenix statue, I think, was about that cost, about 120, but it was twice as wide because she had the flared out fire Phoenix behind her. So, I mean, they vary in cost between like 80 and 120. I think it's clear to remember this is resin. This is not PVC. So, resin is going to be more durable. It's going to be, to me, a longer lasting, and it's going to be a much prettier look. But at $120, I seem to be a little on the high side. Maybe I'm off my rocker and you guys are willing to pay that kind of money for the smaller stuff. Remember, it's approximately 6x6x6 if we put a imaginary plastic box over the top of it. So you guys got to be the one to tell me if I'm stingy and I'm being too cheap. But from Tony the Toy Rat to you, it's a little on the high side, even though I feel like I want it in my collection anyway. So, you guys let me know what you think. And for now, this is going to be Tony the Toy Rat with the first ever live I've ever done. We'll see how this works out. And you let me know if I sucked or not, if I should keep doing these things or just go back to recording and creating videos myself. Anyway, this is Tony the Toy Rat.